Good morning. Thank you all so much for coming. What a wonderful group. You all are the brave few who say, yes, I have a hearing loss issue. I need a little bit of extra help, but there are so many of us in the congregation that are not ready to speak up about that yet. So I am very impressed with such a great group. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we've done, about who we are, and about what we need to do next. So please let me know if my voice is too loud or too soft, and I will do my very best to get all the information for you. So my name is Anna Kobe. I am a born and raised Sooner, so I'm so proud to be here. I actually lived in South Padre Island for a very long time, not a long time, a couple years. In island time, that's a long time. So that's how I started in this company, as I was living on the island, and my father, who is a deacon in Oklahoma City, he had a stroke about a year and a half ago. And it is my honor and my duty. I came home to live with my parents as a 40-year-old, so that was tough. But I very quickly realized through my dad's therapy and helping him learn to walk again that my parents were at home a lot, and I couldn't convince them to go out and enjoy the community. He didn't want to go see a movie. He didn't want to go to the library. He didn't want to go see any presentations because he just couldn't hear it. And I realized my father, who's partially handicapped on his left side, he didn't want to go out not because of his wheelchair. He didn't want to go out because of his hearing loss. So we came in, we were going to come in 2 days, but instead we came in 5 weeks. We did section by section so that church could continue, and we were so happy to do that. But what we did is we installed this copper wire underneath the pews. Every area is covered, so you can sit wherever you like. The copper wire is laid in an intricate pattern in the center and a little bit more simple on the sides. But anywhere in that area, the wire connects back to the sound system. The sound system then picks up whatever's in that microphone so that Mrs. Smith and Mr. Jones get to hit a little button on their hearing aid or your hearing device. You change that to the T-coil setting, and we'll go into that in a second. You just change a setting on your hearing aid. Some people do it with their phone. Some people just hit a button and go through several different options. But once you do that and you change to the telecoil setting, automatically the voices through that microphone go straight to your ear. It is very important for you to go visit your audiologist and find out if your hearing aid or your hearing device is compatible with a hearing loop. Most are. About 85% are compatible. So if you don't have an audiologist, we've got one for you. But the first thing you do, Monday morning, I would love for all of you all to be stewards for this, and go to your audiologist and ask him, do I have a telecoil setting? Can you please tell me, if I don't, what the next time I need to get a hearing device, will you help me choose one where I can have a telecoil setting? If I do have that option, will you please activate it for me? I have small cards here that you can take to your audiologist and ask him this question. What our wonderful audiologist here in Tulsa, he's been here, I believe, for over 30 years. His name is Dr. Lang from Audiology of Tulsa. Their group has offered to activate those telecoils for you for free for this congregation, if possible. There's some hearing aids that are proprietary. I'm not sure the names, but I can find out for you. And some hearing aids say, no, if you need them to be activated, you've got to come back to us to do that. That's okay, but he can at least let you know. So just give him a call, and he can tell you very quickly over the phone if he can do it for you. And then you would simply go into that office, get those activated, and then you get to enjoy the loop. So does anybody have any questions on what a hearing loop is?
I just have a general question.
Sure.
You said it would be activated by the mic. Is that like when the priest is speaking, when the person's reading, any mic in church?
That's a very good question. What she asked is, does any microphone in the church pick this up? The key really is whatever is coming through that sound system, whatever anyone is hearing will go through that hearing loop. So a little while ago, I had my set on, and I could hear the choir singer perfectly. She was fantastic. Oh, what a beautiful voice she has. There's a microphone behind the Bible, I believe that's up there, or the ambo. Yes, there's a small microphone on the altar, but I believe we're going to be switching hopefully soon to lapel mics or mics that are a little bit closer to the mouth. And then we're going to speak up if the deacons or visiting priest or Father Gleason are not speaking clearly in those. That's a key. They have to know that whatever's coming through that microphone, I am now going to hear crystal clear. So they can't whisper up there. They can't tell secrets back there because we're going to hear everything. If he's nervous and talks about it, we're going to hear it. So anything, to answer your question, anything that comes through the sound system will be projected into that hearing loop and into your ears directly.
You have a level control on the output from the system. The reason I ask that is because I've had the teleco loop for probably ever since I had a hearing aid.
Great.
And the only place I ever found it usable was at Christ the King. And they have a very good one. When I was there for a funeral about 3 years ago, it was the first time I had ever heard it. And it was remarkable. And I told Father Jeff about this, and I told some of the other people, Lyndon and so forth. And at that time, all I could hear was, well, you have to put it in when you put in the floor. So I was hoping when this floor came up that they were going to do it, and I guess they did. My question now is, this is the first time I've heard it here in the church, because this may be the first Sunday it's been activated. But it's very distorted by their proximity to the microphone itself. I've worked with microphones for 60 years, and I can tell you that the best sound we heard today, at least as far as I'm concerned, was when they were at the main altar, and Father Gleason or Father Dorney was back away from the microphone. He was probably this far away from the microphone, speaking in his normal voice, and it was coming through without distortion, with clarity. And I just think that some adjustment need to be made on mine, turn it down a little bit, or maybe you need to really qualify each microphone as to whether or not you're working too closely or not. But there's some things that need to be finessed about this system, and probably about my hearing.
Did everyone hear that question? What I heard is we have a wonderful volunteer, is what I heard. Because he's absolutely right. This hearing loop is dependent on those microphones. If one is very, very loud and one is very, very soft, or if someone knows how to use this microphone and doesn't know how to use another, it's very important that you, the users of this hearing loop, talk to Mr. Mike Malcolm here, talk to Father Gleason and say, something's wrong. There's always a slight chance we have done this correctly, so there's a very small chance. But if something happens and someone turns off the system, you are the only ones who are going to know that. So if something's wrong, please speak up and talk to Father and Mike about it. We're going to be doing a little bit of finessing inside today, and Mike will be able to do a little bit more as we get used to it and figure out what everyone needs. I understand, because I thought the same thing. Is I could hear that choir singer perfectly, and it was a little bit hard to hear on this side, and it was just a little strange. So we need a little bit of education on that. We also need to fix a little bit of the microphone system and finesse the system. So we're going to be doing a little bit of that today.
As a member of the choir,
Yeah.
I've asked Jack about how we can hear better today, because I know that the conference now.
You know, we can't hear the jokes.
That's a very good point. We have put a hearing loop in the 4 different sections of the church. But there's other places we want to hear. A visiting priest may want to hear when he's on the altar. The choir would like to hear as well. There's some hard of hearing members in the choir. So I am not embarrassed one little bit to hang this little guy on my neck. I bring my own headsets. If you know anybody in your family or any friends, this is a great opportunity to invite them to the church and say, you know, you may not even be Catholic, but I would love to invite you to experience something. It's fantastic. And I bring my own headset for cleanliness, or you can even buy your own if you'd like to keep one. But I just put these headsets on. All of a sudden, I can hear perfectly. So I was wearing them today, walking around in the different areas, and I forget how clear it is because I took them off and the priest was still speaking, and I couldn't believe how far away he sounded and how distant he sounded. So to me, these hearing loops are helping me even now before my hearing aids.
So Anna,
Yes.
to get the best use of our inductive loop, so if someone has 2 hearing aids, would you recommend that they activate the T-coil in one when they're at Mass, and then the other one they can still hear the ambient? Always like I'm just thinking with the piano and organ is not through the sound system, so.
Yep. That's exactly what I did. His question was, some people have 2 hearing aids. It is really up to you to decide what you need, because those hearing aids are set perfectly to your hearing. I can't borrow someone else's. My hearing level is my own. So some people decide, I don't want to hear anything. I just want to hear what's coming in through that microphone. I just want to hear that. Other people want to hear as I sing along. I want to be able to make sure that I'm not singing too loud. I'm not singing, or I can hear, you know, my husband say something to me. So some people choose to have one set on the T-coil and one not. One, just this button is on for T-coil and this one is not.
Are you going to be able today to look at our individual hearing aids and say, you can activate it this way?
That's a very good question. He said, can I decide whether can I know if your hearing aid has a telecoil? These hearing aids are absolutely amazing. They're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Some have telecoil options and some do not. The kind of general rule of thumb is if you can change the settings, there's most likely an option for a telecoil. So the first thing I would tell you is talk to Dr. Lang. Call his office and say, this is the brand that I have. Can I come and see you, or should I go somewhere else?
Well, if I've got one on today, can I press this little button on top and just test it?
You absolutely can. You absolutely can. You just press away and we'll have music going or talking going. And you can absolutely say, oh, there it is. But I won't know that for sure.
And I'm just going to add to your question. My son has hearing aids, and he had the option. We had to go back to the audiologist. They had to put it on their computer to activate this telecoil system. So.
Right now, there are not very many audiologists or hearing aid companies that activate these telecoils. This also brings us to what we can do now. We know we're going to call the audiologist. We know we're going to get our hearing aids ready. If you don't have hearing aids yet, let us know, because we can either order your own little receiver or you can borrow a receiver from the church. But the other thing I'd like you all to do is to start talking. Talk to your friends. If you notice somebody tilting their head casually, if you notice somebody with glossy eyes pretending to hear, if you know one of your friends have hearing loss, talk about it. Talk about it. Let's get rid of the stigma of hearing loss. For some reason, we're not embarrassed anymore to have a prosthetic leg. We show it off. We put our team names on them. We're not embarrassed about our glasses anymore. They're beautiful, all different styles. But for some reason, we're all still embarrassed about these hearing aids for no reason, because most of us, many of us, will have hearing loss. So, does anyone have any other questions? Ooh, I love that. That means I might have done my job or you guys are asleep. One or the other.
And just one thing, and
Sure.
much like Dick did,
Yes.
when our loop is installed, and let's say at the ambo at the lectern, I hear the readers perfectly, or the readers sound garbled and distorted, or the priest when he's using his headset is hard to understand, or I can't hear the cantor. Please continue to give us feedback. So Mike he can adjust that. So Anna and her team, they're going to do some initial adjustments, but if there are added adjustments, please let us know.
One thing you might remember, the priests need to remember more than anybody. There are a lot of people there that don't hear well, that don't have hearing aids.
That's right.
And for you to accept in your head and your speech process that, oh, well, we've got the hearing loops now, everybody can hear. Not true.
Yeah.
It's been hard enough to hear sometimes, even with the hearing aids that we have.
Yeah. So supposedly, those that are up there, they have an array of projection, and it's the whole thing with timing. But we will look at that again. I know one of the problems at the very end of Mass, when we make announcements, it tends to be more conversational. We're not projecting, we're not being intentional. So I think we need to be more intentional, especially at those
I
times.
don't know whether you're talking to yourself or to God, but you're not talking to the congregation.
I love it. That's such a great quote. I'm going to use that.
Anna, I can hear you very well back here. I don't know what you're doing, but
Great. It might be the acoustics of this room. Yeah.
the chapel, when we're in the chapel, I can hear very well in there. But one thing, I'm a veteran. There's a lot of veterans that are being issued hearing aids, and I don't know that the technology is there yet. That's a lead for you.
Thank you.
At the 41st Street VA, because I'm going to go there Monday, tomorrow,
Great.
and try to find out whether my hearing aids have that.
So I'm not sure. Again, that question really just ask those
My
doctors.
manual does just what you said. It's supposed to weigh about 3 inches, activated, so on.
Great. So most likely you do have your telecoil activated. Okay?
Can I add
Sure.
to that? So if y'all call Dr. Lang, the audiologist she recommended, or go to your own, if you do have a landline, since you're at the audiologist, get the information for the caption call. It works with your landline and you have to have internet, but then you talk like normal on the phone, but the person you're talking to, everything they say will show up in print, like you're on the computer. So that way you have a clear understanding of what's happening.
Did everyone
We
hear
have
that?
at our house that my son uses.
Did everyone hear that? Caption calls are fantastic. I'm in love with captions. I had no idea how important captions were. I thought they were annoying at the bottom of the screen until now. Now I use them heavily. But there is a company, several different companies called Caption Call, things like that. And they'll bring a free of charge telephone to your house, beautiful telephone, the big screen on there that will literally tell you everything in real time, what that pharmacy is saying, or what that doctor is saying, or what your daughter is saying, perfectly. There's even one where you can email it to yourself. If the doctor had given you tons of instructions, you can even email that to yourself. So I'll make sure Father and Mike have that information and you can call them directly. Again, go visit the Tulsa Source for Hearing Access because they have a room of all different kinds of equipment that you can use that can help your life through hearing. So I encourage you all, and tell them I sent you because that is such a wonderful group that you all have here. So I encourage you all to get active with your hearing and really share your stories. If you haven't heard a joke at church in a long time, go tell Father Gleason it was funny or it wasn't funny.
You're not missing much if you haven't heard it in a long time.
Thank you all so much. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help, and there's lots of information up here for you all to take home. All right,
Thank you, Anna.
thank you.